Hi guys, in CWQ here, and I have an article for y'all. Trump has been ordered to pay $355 million and is barred from New York business. The ruling in Donald Trump's civil fraud case could cost him all his available cash. The judge said the former president's complete lack of contrition bordered on pathological. A New York judge on Friday handed Donald J. Trump a crushing defeat in his civil fraud case, finding the former president liable for conspiring to manipulate his net worth with ordering him to pay a penalty of $355 million that could wipe out his entire stockpile of cash. The decision by Justice Arthur E. Engoron caps a chaotic years-long case in which New York Attorney General put Mr. Trump's fantastical claims of wealth on trial. With no jury, the power was in Justice Engoron's hands alone, and it came down hard. The judge delivered a sweeping array of punishments that threatens the former president's business empire as he simultaneously contends with four criminal prosecutions and seeks to regain the White House. Not only did Justice Engoron impose a 3-year ban preventing Mr. Trump from serving in top roles at any New York company, including his own, but the judge also applied that punishment to the former president's adult sons for 2 years and ordered that they pay more than $4 million each. One of one of the sons, Eric Trump, is a Trump Organization's de facto chief executive, and the ruling throws into doubt whether any member of the family can run the business in the near term. In an unconventional style, Justice Engoron criticized Mr. Trump and the other defendants for refusing to admit errors for years. Their complete lack of contrition and remorse borders on pathological. He noted that Mr. Trump had not committed violent crimes and that Dr. Trump, Mr. Donald Trump, is not Bernard Madoff. Still, he wrote, defendants are incapable of admitting the errors of their ways. Mr. Trump will appeal the financial penalty, which could climb to $400 million or more once interest is added, but will have to either come up with the money or secure a bond within 30 days. The ruling will not render him bankrupt because most of his wealth is tied up in real estate. Mr. Trump will also, most likely, ask an appeals court to halt the restrictions on him and his sons from running the company while it considers the case. This verdict is a manifest injustice, plain and simple, Alina Habba, one of Mr. Trump's lawyers, said in a statement. She added that given the grave stakes, we trust the appellate division will overturn this egregious verdict. But there might be little Mr. Trump can do to thwart one of the judge's most consequential punishments, extending for 3 years the appointment of an independent monitor who will be the court's eyes and ears of the Trump Organization and strengthen her powers to watch for fraud and second guess transactions that look suspicious. Mr. Trump's lawyers have railed against the monitor Barbara Jones, saying that her work has already cost the business more than $2.5 million. The decision to extend her oversight of the privately held family company could enrage the Trumps, who see her presence as an irritant and an insult. The Attorney General Letitia James had sought those consequences and more, asking Mr. Trump to be permanently barred from New York's business world. In the 2022 lawsuit that precipitated the trial, she accused Mr. Trump of inflating his net worth to obtain favorable treatments from banks and other lenders, attacking the foundation of his public persona as a billionaire bus- businessman. Even though the lenders made money from Mr. Trump, they were the purported victims in the case. Bullshit, with Ms. James arguing that absent his fraud, they could have made even more. The financial penalty reflects those lost profits, with nearly half of the 355 million, 168 million representing the interest that Mr. Trump saved and remaining sum representing his profit on the recent sales of two properties, money that the judge has now clawed back. Before the trial began, Justice Engoron ruled that the former president had used his annual financial statement to defraud lenders, siding with the Attorney General on her case central claim. The judge's Friday ruling ratified almost all the other accusations Mr. James had leveled against Mr. Trump, finding the former president liable for conspiring with his top two executives to violate several state laws. The judge's decision for now grants Mr. James, a Democrat, a career-defining victory. She campaigned for her office, promising to bring Mr. Trump to justice, and sat calmly in the courtroom during the trial as a former president attacked her, calling her a corrupt politician motivated solely by self interest. Her win is Mr. Trump's second major courtroom loss in 2 months following January jury verdict in a defamation case brought by E. Jean Carroll, a writer whom he was found liable of sexually abusing. The jury penalized him 83.3 million, and the civil fraud ruling comes as Manhattan prosecutors are set to try Mr. Trump on criminal charges late next month. He is also contending with 57 other felony counts across 3 other criminal cases. But none of his legal troubles seem to have anguished Mr. Trump quite like the fraud case. During the trial, he protested his premises, pleading, "This has been a persecution of somebody that's done a good job in New York." Throughout the trial, Mr. Trump's lawyers emphasized that the fraud did not have to be a victim of a traditional sense, daring the attorney general to find someone who was harmed. They called as witness the president's former bankers who testified that they were delighted to have Mr. Trump as a client. Several of them, said they had not relied on his financial statements but had independently assessed his wealth. So that sounds like to me that he went to go get a loan, he appraised his own, like if let's say I have a car and I decide that I've put a lot of money into my car. And I decide that even though I bought it for, let's say, $1,500, and I decide that it's worth now $2,500, which is basically what I think Mr. Trump did, then they're trying to say that because he didn't ask for what the blue book value would be, that he committed a crime. I don't believe that that's realistic. I believe that if I want to sell something and I decide it's worth a certain amount, that should be what the amount's worth. Okay, anyway, Eric Trump and his brother Donald Trump Jr. testified as well, but their effort to distance themselves from their father's financial statements fell flat with the judge. Justice Engeron found them liable for most of Mr. James' accusations as well and barred them from running any New York businesses for 2 years, a decision that will likely strike a nerve with the Trump family. However, nothing will quite hurt quite as much as a financial penalty. If upheld on appeal, it could erase the cushion of liquidity, cash stocks, and bonds that Mr. Trump built in his post presidential life. Mr. Trump claimed under oath last year that he was sitting on more than 400 million in cash, but between Justice Engeron's $355 million punishment and the $83 million payout to Mr. Carroll, that might all be gone. If so, Mr. Trump might have to sell one of his properties or another asset to cover the payout, in what would be a remarkable blow to the former president. The judge's other punishments of Mr. Trump, the 3 year bar on his running a company in New York and his prohibition on his obtaining loans from the state's banking system for the same time period, is unlikely to take a major financial toll on the former president. He can still own the Trump Organization, and although Mr. Trump has kept a hand in his family businesses in recent years, he has been otherwise focused on his political career. So I was thinking about that because during the time that he became president, leading up to being a president and being the president, he did not run his business. In fact, he gave that business to somebody else to run for him because he could not run it as president. So I'm wondering about this as well. Before the trial, the fallout from the case seemed to threaten the Trump Organization's very existence. When Justice Engeron first ruled that Mr. Trump had committed fraud, he ordered that much of the former president's New York empire to be dissolved. But legal experts have questioned the judge's ability to do so, and in his ruling on Friday, Justice Engeron pulled back that edict. Instead, the judge said that any restructuring and potential dissolution would be up to Ms. Jones, the independent monitor. I don't think that she should have a right to decide that a business that does not belong to her should be dissolved. I don't think that that should be her right. And I don't think that under the Constitution that that's her right either. So that is my thought. I think that that's a constitutional boundary. The judge also granted Ms. Jones new authority as part of the enhanced monitorship and asked her to recommend an independent compliance director who oversee the company's financial reporting from within its ranks. Whew. And there's also um, there's also a link where you can read the ruling. Let me see if I can pull it up here. And this is the ruling here. File with New York County Clerk 2/16/2024. Um, it's introduction, common law, executive law, financial marketplace, procedural background. The complaint asserts 7 causes of action. The first cause of action is a type of known standalone claim consistent with the wording of the statute. Plaintiff needs only prove that the defendants use false statements in business. Okay, I am still of a mind that if you own something and you decide to sell that something, that should be your right to decide how much it's worth. I believe that if these banks entered into doing a loan for Mr. Trump and he's paid back that loan, I don't see how they can go years later and charge him with fraud over money that's already been paid back, because now they're trying to get him to pay it back again, which makes absolutely no sense because as far as my understanding of this case is, Mr. Trump, President Trump, has already paid back the money for the loans that he took. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that's the case here. And I don't see how they can charge him for any more money than he's done because it's already been paid. And they're also trying to go after interest. And then he's already paid this money, so that would be interesting. And I think that he may have a case based on that fact. Um, if the banks themselves, as stated, did the work to assess the financial cases here as to giving him the money, then guess what? I think that those financial institutions are actually responsible. And as far as Letitia James, it seems to me that she did this just so that she could campaign and win her campaign. It seems very corrupt to me. And I want to know something. Is this judge a Democrat? Let's see if this judge is a Democrat. Uh, let's see here. Oops. Hang on. Let's see. I'm going to look up and see if he's a Democrat. He's an American judge. Yeah, he's a Democrat. He's a Justice Ingarone is a former cab driver and a music instructor who served in the New York judiciary for more than 15 years before presiding over Mr. Trump's bench trial. So he was a cab driver and a music instructor before he became a judge. Oh boy. Uh, and apparently Trump called him a Democratic stooge. And then you look at Letitia James, and she's a Democrat also. So basically, what I think you have here is, oh boy, if you look at Donald Trump and he's running for election, you have election interference. I'm pretty sure that that's what this is. Anyways, you guys, that's my opinion and I'm sticking to it. I hope y'all have a great day. Just thought I would let y'all know what the new news is as far as Donald Trump. Anyways, God bless and much love.